control the vertical.
Welcome to Anthologic, the TV anthology podcast. I am your host, Mark. Anthologic is a podcast dedicated to exploring the good, the bad, and the odd of horror, science fiction, and the best of mystery suspense anthology shows and series on TV. Join me as we slip through the cracks of reality to approach the extremes of experience, where we can peruse the stories and art of a sinister fairground of strange and wonderful rides. And now we go on to the show that is the focus of this particular episode. Welcome to this episode of Anthologic with your host Mark. Today we are talking about a show called Room 104. This is an anthology series that was broadcast on HBO between 2017 and 2020. Consists of 4 seasons, 48 episodes in all. 12 episodes per season. The first season 1 episode 1 first aired on July the 28th, 2017. And the last episode aired so far, and I've no reason to believe these aren't going to continue production at some point, because COVID interrupted a lot, but you never know. Is from season 4, and the last episode aired on October the 9th, 2020. The creative force behind this series are a pair of, I think, brothers, Mark Duplass and Jay Duplass. And this was, apart from the name, I knew nothing about this until I did some research. But as soon as I saw the name Mark Duplass, I kind of got very interested. The reason is I saw a film 6 years ago, I think, called Creep, and then its sequel, Creep 2, where Mark Duplass was both the creative force behind it and the main actor. And I thought it was a really entertaining, it was one of those found footage films, basically filming about one guy in a place, filming himself, but you're never quite sure what he's going on. It's kind of charming, but it's kind of creepy. It's a very convincing performance, and I thought, man, this guy's got some real legs as a creative in film. So I was interested in that. I then saw the sequel, which I don't think... Hold on, I'm just double checking. No, it just wasn't quite as good. There was a bit of suspension of disbelief. I couldn't quite get over it. Basically a filmographer was filming him, but didn't kind of react to how creepy he was, and that just didn't feel quite as real. Well, it worked better when he was filming himself, because when you film yourself, you got no judgment, is there? So there's that. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Mark Duplass, I thought, was an interesting creative force. And I've since found out he's done loads of stuff, which has not been on my radar at all. I haven't seen anything else. So I'm probably going to dig into those a little. But Mark Duplass, interesting. They set up a production company which, generates this Room 104. As I say, Room 104 is an anthology series. Now, this is a bit mix and match from what I've read about it. It's kind of, sometimes it's horrific, sometimes it's a thriller, sometimes it's comedy. And the idea is a single room of an American motel called Room 104. And it's the events that happen in this motel room. So, the first season was the first set of film was actually for seasons 1 and 2. They actually did film 24 episodes, and they split it into 2 seasons. And basically, he sits around with a think tank of writers, or there are several writers sitting around a think tank, just coming up with ideas and then fleshing out ideas, and then reaching out to existing filmmakers who may be interested. Apparently, the episodes are filmed very kind of what they describe as fast and loose, For example, there's a whole one episode only directed in 2 days, 2 days only, on an iPhone, to give you an idea. So that they don't mind how they do it. The episodes are filmed in various ways, various genres and so on. It's got generally positive reviews. It rates reasonably well. Sort of not high, but reasonably high. And I have to say, from watching this first episode, I was, again, very impressed with what it delivered. Written by Mark. This first one was written by Mark Duplass, and I'm just having a quick look through the list. He wrote quite a lot of, about half of the first season's episodes, and the same with the second season's. But not all of them. There was other writers involved, and various directors were involved. Now, this first one I'm going to be talking about, as I say, July 28th, 2017 was when it aired. Written by Mark Duplass, directed by Sarah Adina Smith. Not got anyone in it I recognise, but the main cast there's only 4 in the cast. Melanie Diaz, Ross Partridge, Ethan Kent and Gavin Kent, who may be identical twins, actually, from the way this worked. That explains a lot. I didn't realise they were identical twins. I thought they were doing some sort of magic CGI when both boys appeared, but no, it was identical twins. Basically, a woman is hired to babysit her a dad's son while he has to go out. She turns up, and the dad's kind of cursory and disappears quite quickly. And the little boy is quite charming. You know, he's kind of a nice young boy. He seems a nice lad. He's called Ralph. And they're just talking, and he talks in a slight monotone, and he delivers quite well. It's quite well acted, I think it works. But at some point, it suddenly turns a bit dark where he warns her that Ralphie, who's the bad boy, is locked in the bathroom, and they need to keep quiet so they don't wake him. And she thinks it's a bit of a joke, and then she kind of just humours him at first, and then Ralph goes into the bathroom in a normal sort of kid's clothes, and then emerges again in just his underpants and like a cape, a makeshift cape made from a towel, announces he's Ralphie and starts going berserk and mad and attacking her. And then eventually Ralphie goes back in the bathroom and Ralph reappears. And then the conversation, that freaks out Meg for a start. And then the conversation continues, and then Ralphie talks about where their mother is, who is dead and apparently committed suicide, but apparently not, according to Ralph. So Meg is kind of freaked out by these confessions, and really, she's there for a simple babysitting job, and she's getting dragged into this horrible backstory about this family where, possibly she has to intercede to the authorities. But then she sort of talks a bit loud at one point, and then Ralph says, "You've woken Ralphie again." Eventually, both boys appear. Now, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to talk about it anymore, but it's kind of a quite a twist ending and quite surprising, with no explanation of what's happened or why it's happened. There's nothing to indicate some of the reasons of what happened at the end, but nevertheless, it's an effective and quite frightening. It's a little horror film, basically, and fits its time very well. These episodes are 23, 24 minutes, and I thought it was very effective. Quite impressed with this, and I'll probably go on to watch more. So, big recommend for me. I don't want to spoil it, as I say, but it's definitely something worth catching. I'm going to see if I can figure out. I can't remember where I watched it now, but it is on. Let's have a quick look. It's on Hulu, YouTube TV, YouTube. I think I caught it on YouTube. Amazon Prime. Oh, that might be it. I think I got Amazon Prime. So there are various sources, and it's on Apple TV. You can rent it. I don't know if you can rent episodes all the entire season. So that is the first one was very effective. And it lives up to my expectations. Once I knew Mark Duplass was involved, I thought, this is going to be interesting. And it is. In many respects, it's kind of a shorter, more American version of Black Mirror in some respects. But I expected it to be a bit more... I was going to say a bit more sort of diverse in comedy and horror and thriller, but Black Mirror's like that, right? So it's along the same lines. I thought this was a very solid episode of TV, and I quite enjoyed it, and I recommend it. And I'm going to wind up there. But before I go, may I ask, is anybody out there?
I'm not.
We now return control of your television set to you until next week at this same time, when the control voice will take you to